Welcome to Full Foil Hat. We have a theme song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sing along, everybody. Fee-fi-fo fum, raising your vibration. La-la-la, am I dead? Full Foil Hat just fits my head. Fi-fo-fee, NPC, or abductee. La-la, am I dead? Full Foil Hat just fits my head. All right, who else has a theme song? Hey, Foil Hatters, your old boy Way Out. I'm going to give a talk today on Terence McKenna's Stoned Ape theory. McKenna, he died in, I believe, 1999. He was an American 20th century genius, in my opinion. He was a lecturer, an author, and a psychonaut. A psychonaut is someone who collects psychedelic experiences throughout a lifetime. Terence collected a lot of psychedelic experiences and wrote about them and came up with a theory regarding human evolution based on his experiences with psychedelics, particularly psilocybin-containing mushrooms. Some people call them magic mushrooms. What Terence said was that probably, like most of us here at Full Foil Hat, we notice that we human beings are quite a bit different from the rest of the life on the planet. We seem to be the only ones capable of, we invented a language. We have philosophy, poetry, engineering, art, music, technology. We're obviously, a stone's throw away from our closest ancestors. This leaves a lot of conjecture. I'm sure you're familiar with the ancient astronaut theory, which says, aliens or the Anunnaki or something came in and interfered that took us, from out of the animal body and brought us into, what we are now, to, Elvis and Michael Jackson and Joe Biden or whatever, the pinnacle of our evolution and our greatness. So, what Terence said was he believed that our remote ancestors evolved on the African continent, that, millions of years ago, our remote ancestors were sort of basically tree-dwelling apes, hominids living in the rainforests of Africa. They say they were tree-dwelling. They ate fruits and probably some insects. And what happened is the African continent began to dry. We began to have desertification. I'm going to say that word. Deserts appeared. In the last video, I talked about the Giza Plateau, which is a desert where the pyramids are. That at one time it was a lush, fertile valley, fertile plateau. And now it's a desert. So a lot of Africa is still drying up. And what happened to our, tree dwelling, fruit eating ancestors was continents started to dry up. There started to appear grasslands rather than forests. So, over in search of food, they came down from the trees, risked attack from other wild animals, big cats and such, snakes, and to look for food. And one of the foods they found appealing were mushrooms. My understanding is in the tropics, these mushrooms grow, psilocybin-containing mushrooms, grow, and they're quite spectacular. They could be the size of dinner plates, and they're actually beautiful. So this would be an attractive potential food source for our remote ancestors, which Terence says they accepted the mushroom as food, and and as part of their diet. They're just looking for nutrition. Really, they weren't looking to trip balls or anything. From psilocybin, we don't know anything about psilocybin-containing mushrooms. They're hallucinogens, and a large enough dose, and you're basically pinned to the floor in some sort of a religious awe. So they began to eat these things, and there are properties of psilocybin that are non-psychoactive. It's not just the hallucinogenic. It has um, other active properties, other things it causes. And the first thing Terence says it causes is in like small doses. You're just kind of walking along and eating and picking a mushroom and eating it as you go. Nothing, not enough to really create hallucinations. Just enough to like munch on. It increases visual acuity, particularly like peripheral vision. It makes it increases the side view. You can see better. A little bit of small dose of psilocybin. This, when you're a small primate in the grasslands, there are, predators there looking to eat you. So having increased edge detection, better peripheral vision, gave an advantage to the primates, the hominids, that did accept the psilocybin mushrooms into their diet. Um, as time went on, they also, if you're hunting, again, better vision could make the difference between, coming home empty-handed or coming home with dinner. Coming home or not coming home at all because you're attacked. So, better visual perception would create an advantage to those who ate the mushroom over those who didn't. The second characteristic of psilocybin, in maybe a little bit higher dose, is all alkaloids produce CNS arousal, central nervous system stimulation, and in primates and kind of highly sexed animal like primates, that would mean erection in the male, often leading to sexual into intercourse. So you had the primates that did ingest the psilocybin had better vision and better luck in hunting, and also were having more sex. So right away, just these two things, psychoactive properties aside, would give the psilocybin ingesting our ancestors a better chance at surviving and reproduction over the ones not consuming the psilocybin. It makes sense. And then, of course, the third property of psilocybin is the psychoactive property in an effective dose. Terence says 4.5 grams dried or 45 grams wet and up, you have this hallucinatory, tripping balls experience where you're, no longer able to hunt or have sex, and you're just like in this, religious awe of, having an experience with the numinous other, the Godhead, activating your imagination. And he believed that's really what took us out of sort of the animal consciousness was, animal consciousness is very exterior. Perhaps the highest level of animal consciousness is like a predator where you have to be able to see the point of view of your prey. But with the ingestion of psilocybin, it brought us inward into the imagination, into the world of religious, divine experiences, and that activated a part of our brain, that was not active in other animals, in the imagination, and into the religious ecstasy. And Terence believed that because of, the ingesting the psilocybin, over time, what it did to us was two things. What psilocybin does is it removes boundaries. People speak of ego death, or removes that boundary between people. It breaks that down and gives you that feeling of oneness. Because of that, um, our natural tendency as primates to create male-dominated hierarchies and monogamous pair bonds was broken down, because of the sexual stimulation of the mushroom. That broke down the monogamy, and we became more orgiastic than we were monogamous. Um, and it also broke down our tendency, the boundary dissolving portion of it broke down our tendency to form hierarchies. So what that did was, uh, number one, males were no longer able to trace parental lineage to them. So rather than it being my children, it became our children, the children of the tribe. And, instead of being run by the, biggest, toughest, meanest males of the group, we worked as a unit. We had a cohesiveness we don't have now. And during that time of the psilocybin ingestion in Africa, he believed everything that makes us human came into being. Our ability to communicate, our ability to create music and art, our ability to cooperate with each other, and build a civilization, that all came online due to that substance, creating kind of a golden age of humans. Um, and what happened? You might be wondering, well, why it was so great? What happened? Why isn't it like that any longer? For the same reason our ancestors began ingesting the mushroom, because Africa was drying up. We went searching for food outside of the treetops. Um, Africa continued to dry, and the mushroom sort of faded away where it wasn't as common for us to ingest, and we lost that boundary dissolving, ego dissolving, hierarchy dissolving substance that sort of medicated us out of being, monogamous, uh, hierarchy, having a top-down society. We had a, unity-based society, and there wasn't the pressure to conform to monogamy, and through that we became everything that we like about ourselves as humans and society through the mushroom. Simple as that. Thanks, everybody. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.